All right. I have an exciting video for you guys today. We're going to pour through the numbers and talk about the player population and the monthly active player report for New World. And there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of hopium, there's a lot of details that I cannot wait to share with you. We can actually now see the real impact from the July summer update, and we got so much to share and to talk about. Now, before we dive into the full video, if you guys haven't seen, actually, Danny TV, Baggins, a couple of others have gotten NDA access to play around with a greatsword apparently, and who knows what else. So there is some exciting stuff right on the horizon within the community, so I'm really excited for these guys. I cannot wait to hear their thoughts about what is coming next to New World. We also got a couple of updates. We might be getting the group finder this week. They're going to be testing that on the PTR, and based off of what they've been saying over on the forums and things like that, it might sound like October is the real big update. So I thought about making that its own video, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to get you guys that information right at the front of this. Welcome guys to the channel. If you're new, my name is Brian, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back, you sexy beast. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments at the start of these videos. Guys, if you like these breakdowns, this is kind of an MMO analysis, especially as it relates to New World. That's what I do here on this channel. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you feel like it earns it. But now, let's dive into the numbers. If you can't see, the number that's highlighted on screen right now is 11,850,445. The reason why this is important is that last time, before the July update, the hours played, and I'm going to talk about how I get all my calculations here in a second if you are new. The hours played actually was around 9,306,372. This gives us 2.4 million increase in playtime over the last month. And I think this is really significant in terms of engagement. Now, obviously, this is a lot of time. And when I look at the numbers based off of player reports, they say the average gamer plays around 8.3 million hours, or 8 million hours, 8.3 hours per week. I round that up to 12 for MMO players, which gives us about 48 hours per month. And that's where we start to get and factor in all of these beautiful, beautiful calculations. Now, if we were to look at that in terms of just 48 hours and talk about the difference, this is just the difference between pre-update and post-update, that accounts for 51,000 monthly active users increase. Now, we're going to go through and talk about this number here in terms of the peak hours at 25,000, which if you see here, the total peak hours at 26,000 is actually really significant, namely because that happened right with the update itself. But week over week, we've actually seen every week since the update, over the weekend, we've been hitting this 25,000 number, which is really showing to me that there's a massive amount of retention that has actually occurred with the latest update to the game. But we can still see here 11,800,000. So let's see, actually take a look at what does that look like if you were just basing it off the numbers for the player population. And it's really quite simple. That would roughly put us around 250,000 monthly active users, again going off those averages. There's going to be players who play more, there's going to be players who play less. I play less than 12 hours per week because that is just the nature of where I am in life. Everybody's going to be different. This also accounts for people coming in to just check out the game for a little bit to see if it's worth their time. And this also accounts for players who are playing a lot. But instead of numbers, we also want to look at some industry standards. If we take a look at currently the cap, the 26,000, and base it off the low end. And so within the industry, you can see here, the industry uses a concurrency multiplied by 7 times 11, meaning that the low end is going to be the times 7 and the high end times 11. So that puts us roughly under 200K, 186,000. And if we look at, let's see here, let me find the number, perfect, right here. And if we look at the high end, that takes us right to under 300,000, which kind of puts the time frame in terms of averages right between the middle, right somewhere in the middle of anywhere from 200,000 to 300,000, roughly at 246,000. Now, I also want to look at the current in terms of the player population in averages. So if we go back here into the Steam charts, we can see here actually green numbers, and that's to be expected. Content is king, and one of the things that I love about New World is I feel like it has a very unique hook. The world, the sound, the music, the gameplay. You might find personal frustrations with any number of systems or lack of content, etc. And all those are absolutely valid in the conversation around what New World needs to do to continue to improve. But obviously releasing content does have that question. And we got some really cool stuff to talk about here in just a second. But when you look at it, clearly not beating the high of previously. So we're still only at 16,000, roughly a 21% gain in terms of the average. And still you're seeing over the weekend that 25,000. So the numbers are going up. They seem to be holding right now. And that's obviously the summer medley fairs going on. We're obviously looking to the future. I do predict that we're going to see the numbers start to actually dip back down again as we wait for the next update, unless they start doing some marketing and some PR. But they've got a lot of work to do. Let's not beat around the bush when it comes to kind of bugs, stability, more of those things. The delay in the group finder, a lot of these things I think will help along the way. And that's actually what they were talking about, where they're looking, it looks like October for the big content update, and then focusing kind of the September as really kind of a bug fix balance, kind of patch that we haven't seen them do in quite a little bit. But these numbers aren't insignificant. And again, if we pull up just the average in terms of player base, on average, roughly that would put us at 113 monthly active users. Now, here's where the monetization and the doubt and the trust really come in. All of this in this video only represents a lack of trust in whether Amazon will continue to develop the game or not. Now, they say they will. They say they got a 10-year plan, but they don't have like this long history. They're not like Square Enix or Blizzard, where we have this long history and relationship with them so that we can kind of look to their successes and their failures and actually kind of draw better conclusions. So numbers fill in the gap. They take in that. And so if you were looking at this as like a subscription-based MMO, like this would be like pretty significant. All of a sudden you're seeing that, but it's not a subscription-based MMO, and we're still kind of waiting to see what they decide to do and add in terms of that. What is their future plans? Because what you're actually hearing a lot from the community is a lot of queue times, people hitting queue times, people wondering if we're going to see them actually start to add servers. And I talked about this in a dedicated video itself, namely because adding servers, I think, needs to come along with, I'm sure they're going to do it, especially if they start seeing more and more people come back to the game, but it would really benefit the game with cross-server OPR, cross-server PvP arena, where you're not having to queue with just those that are on your server at that time. There are definitely some things that they're working towards, but we still don't have an ETA, and hopefully we'll get a dev update later this month. But those are the raw numbers, but we're still going deep into this. Let me actually change the view a little bit so you guys can see this a little bit cleaner. When it looks at terms of engagement on social media. Now, you guys, whether you want to, factor that in or not, I think this is actually a unique hook that New World really actually isn't taking advantage of as much. It is taking advantage of it because we can actually see that Twitch drops drive a lot of engagement. And you can see over here on the right hand side, actually, it's a little bit off screen. Let me see if I can fix that here for us real quick. Over here off screen, Twitch's ranking overall for the global rank of New World, it ranked up 37 levels in July, going to 107. Now, let me actually just kind of rearrange this a little bit so it's hopefully a little bit cleaner. I know I tried to make this a little bit prettier, but we got a lot to cover. Actually, on that note, being that I showed off the ranking, let's go ahead and resize this a little bit, and hopefully then we can kind of talk a little bit more. Now, overall in July, you can see like the hours watched, 41% increase. So in player retention and player employment, we make up words here, why not? We saw a 21%. Over in the watch and gain, you're seeing a 41%. What this does is it puts the game in front of more people, and then they might go and update the game. Whether they stick with it or not, that's going to be the challenge that New World has. I think, again, an expansion or some kind of hype model where they start talking about bigger things, showing off bigger things, really kind of helps build that up itself. But the fact is, with the Twitch drops, things like that, you're obviously seeing a growth in average viewers, a growth in peak channels, a growth in hours watched, overall increasing month over month. And that kind of comes, in line. So then if we start to look at kind of we're taking kind of a look at a recent window. This is the July update. Massive, obviously, increase in interest from the players, like, hey, what's going on with the July update? But you can also still see within the numbers themselves a trending upward, so to speak. So right now you're kind of seeing it's still in creating a community and engagement, which is really important. Then if we drop into kind of just who is streaming it, if you guys are looking for somebody to follow, right now Baggins is ranked as number 1, Cat Conti number 2, and Tricky is number 3, which is great, doing some shoutcasting. Beyond that, if we just want to look at the top 10, King Gathalathon, can't even pronounce the name, just recently returned to Twitch, really has been missing New World. This is a big creator, not being sponsored to any kind of knowledge, just generally likes MMORPGs, tweeted out a couple of weeks ago that he really missed playing New World, and is now back in. And clearly this is going to drive in some numbers and some watch time, because that they haven't watched it as well. But interesting enough, lost a little bit of a follower gain from streaming just New World itself, and that makes sense. There is this sense within the era, like, okay, like why are we watching this game? I'm not really interested in it, and that's just the nature of content creation. Danny TV, still growing. Cat, a little bit of a drop in hours watched, but overall just continue to grow. And then if we look within the top 10, just a great collection of New World content creators. Now, what's interesting, and I don't know yet quite how this charts, because I stream over with Work to Game and we play on Friday nights if anybody's looking for to play. Like, my New World content is roughly 34.88 hours watched, so been back in here, like that would put me, personally speaking, anywhere between 16 and 17. So maybe this is something that needs to be tracked, or I need to have a better understanding. But I'm happy that I'm in the top 20. Like, that's just wild. So thank you guys for the support and coming to hang out. But anyway, I just thought that was ultimately interesting. I think Twitch, obviously drops is helping to drive engagement. That also is a great way of advertising the game without having to spend, in my mind, a lot of money on marketing. We obviously have big updates planned, and they're already teaming up with content creators to get them in and playing the new systems to talk about them with you guys. So be sure to keep following. I would say, I think I know Baggins and Danny, there might be a handful of others. They're under NDA, so they can't talk about it right now, but that's going to be something exciting to see here in the near future. Big updates coming. We're going to be getting the fall updates pretty soon, at least getting a better picture of that. Maybe we'll see that this week. I'll be sure to cover it, guys, if we do. Anyway, I'm thrilled. I think this is exciting to see. Hopefully you guys are as excited with me, or just kind of curious about the state of the game. Thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully this was a good video for you and for your Monday, but I'm going to wrap up, guys, and just wish you all the best. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video, but until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to Destiny. I'm off with the clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh yeah.